Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar focused on agriculture and productive use appliances. While we wait that all the other attendees join us and can hear us, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Jackie Garcia and I'm part of the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge team and the facilitator of this webinar today. As a reminder, these webinars are designed for the participants of the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge, which is an initiative led by Efficiency for Access with support from Engineers Without Borders UK. This webinar is being recorded and the cameras and microphones are disabled except for those of the main speakers, but you all can use the discussing chat box to make questions or share your comments and ideas with the speakers, and we will the speakers will be answering them at the end of their presentations. Today, we will be discussing about solar power irrigation. We will have a conversation with Stewart Craine, the Managing Director of Village Infrastructure Angels, and also we will discuss about productive use appliances. The Q&A section at the end of the presentations is your time to ask the speakers your questions. So please write your questions and comments in the chat throughout the webinar. And at the end, you will have the opportunity to give your opinion in a very short survey on your experience in this webinar. I would like to introduce our speakers today. Max Garnick is a product manager with Sunculture, a Nairobi-based agriculture tech company that was the first company to commercialize solar power irrigation in Africa. Max joined Sunculture 2 years ago after completing a mechanical engineering degree at Northeastern University in Boston, Massachusetts. As part of his degree program, he completed a number of internships in technology, including a 6-month placement in Tanzania with the off-grid solar home system company, Sikubora, which is how he determined working in off-grid productive use energy was his passion. Max is looking forward to participating in the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge as a mentor for the 2nd straight year. Stewart Craine is the Managing Director of the Village Infrastructure Angels, and he has been involved in rural electrification since 1998 when he was the project manager for the construction of several micro-hydro mini-grids in Nepal. During 2000 and 2004, he gained commercial project development experience building large wind farms, in Australia with Hydro Tasmania, and undertaking a range of renewable energy consulting jobs for internal and external clients, whilst also assisting Light Up the World Foundation to continue bringing solar power white lead lighting systems to villages. In 2005, he co-founded Barefoot Power as a commercial for-profit social enterprise to raise larger quantities of investment for villages, which became a recognized market leader in off-grid solar lighting, winning many awards. Julien Potron is the founder of Nadji.bi Senegal. Julien has dedicated his career to solar, and with 15 years of experience in the global solar industry in Germany, China, and France, having served Jinko Solar Group during its take-off period. Julien came back home to launch a very ambitious African company focused on cutting-edge IoT innovations for the off-grid lighting and productive markets. Winners of many innovation prizes in Africa, Nadji.bi has developed several connected smart solar solutions, from solar home systems to solar water pumps and milling machines, and is having a complete research and development lab, as well as a manufacturing plant in Mbobour, Senegal. And now, without further ado, I want to give the floor to Max. All yours.
Thanks, Jackie. Morning, everyone. Hope everyone's had a good morning so far. Excited to be here. I'm Max. I'm a product manager with Sunculture. So yeah, we can go ahead and jump into the presentation. You can go to the next slide. Cool. So at Sunculture, our vision is to build a world where people can take control of their environment in rewarding and sustainable ways. We achieve that by fulfilling our company mission, which is to develop and commercialize life-changing technology that solves the biggest daily challenges for the world's 570 million smallholder farming households. Next slide, please. Cool, so a bit of background on the problem and our market and what we're trying to address. So 96% of Africa's smallholder farmers rely on rain-fed agriculture. So they grow low-value crops because rainwater is only sufficient to grow staple crops like maize and potatoes. They have low yields and they have limited growing seasons because farmers cannot utilize their fields during the dry seasons when they depend on rain. So what does this mean? It means that farmers are trapped at the bottom of the productivity ladder. Smallholders make only $600 to $1,000 a year, and they're always just one bad harvest away from financial insecurity. So as a result, they're unable to invest in their farms or in their families' futures. Next slide, please. Cool, so at Sunculture, we believe that irrigation is the first step up the productivity ladder. So irrigation can influence 2 to 5 times higher yields if utilized properly. And so farmers can raise their incomes and continue investing in productive use technology. So as you can see on the ladder, irrigation we see as the first step, but of course inputs are also extremely important. Post-harvest processing, also extremely important. You have to be able to use cold storage to move your product from the farm to the end market, and then of course machinery as well to continue to optimize the farm. Next slide, please. So at a more macro level, irrigation is a $65 billion opportunity in Africa. In terms of groundwater, there's enough below sub-Saharan Africa to expand irrigation by 20 times from what it is today, and 120 times in 13 countries in sub-Saharan Africa. In terms of solar power, there's abundant sunshine, which when paired with the falling cost of solar panels and the falling cost of lithium-ion batteries, which is driven primarily by the growing EV market. You can go back. This leads to abundant, affordable, and clean energy sources for irrigation systems. In terms of mobile connectivity, there's fairly high mobile penetration and a lot of mobile money, primarily in Kenya at the moment, but expanding across the continent as well. And so this drives the potential for data-driven, high-precision agriculture. Lastly, in terms of arable land, Africa has 65% of the world's unused arable land. So irrigation will enable more land to be cultivated and increase the productivity of land that's underused today. Next slide, please. So how is Sunculture addressing the problem? We have 2 primary products or solar water pumping systems that we have on the market. We sell these in Kenya directly through our own sales network, and we also sell in 5 or 6 other countries across sub-Saharan Africa at the moment through distribution partnerships. So the first system, and lower cost, lower barrier to entry system, is called Climate Smart Direct with Rainmaker 2. We sell this system with 2 different pumps. One is higher flow for low head applications, and one is lower flow for higher head applications. This system works best at a total dynamic head of less than 40 meters with a maximum flow rate of 1,100 liters per hour. So this is optimal for a farm up to 1 acre. And as the name suggests, Climate Smart Direct, this system is not enabled or integrated with a battery. So it only works when the sun is out, and the flow rate of the pump fluctuates depending on the amount of power being harvested by the panel. So we sell this system all inclusive of installation, the pump and controller that you see in the picture there, a 50-meter HDPE pipe with some fittings to reroute the pipe throughout the farm, and then either 1 or 2 roof-mounted 310-watt solar panels. So this system we sell at a market price of $500 on cash, and we also offer financing for a period on this system of up to 24 months to reduce the barrier to entry and allow the customer to pay off the system over time. Next slide, please. So our flagship product is called Climate Smart Battery. So in theory, it's a fairly similar product to Climate Smart Direct, except that this one, has an integrated lithium-ion battery and also sort of operates as a hybrid solar water pumping system as well as a solar home system. So again, we sell this system with 2 different pumps, one of which is the Rainmaker 2S. One is called the Rainmaker 2C. again, these are pumps that are separated out based on the total dynamic head and sort of the application that the farmer wants to use the pump for. So again, this works best up to a 40-meter head, although it can go down, as low as 70-meter head or high as 70-meter head. Maximum flow is 1,200 liters per hour. And again, this is optimized for a farm up to 1 acre, but with a larger pump, really for a farm up to 2 acres. As you see in the picture, there's quite a lot more that comes with this system. It is double the price of Climate Smart Direct. So the farmer in this case has the option between a 310 watt roof mounted panel or a portable foldable 160 watt panel. Reason being, we do have a number of customers who are pumping from rivers, and so they need a portable solution whereby they can carry the battery down to a river along with a pump and a foldable panel and do their pumping from there during the day. Whereas they need to be able to take the battery and the pump and the panel back to the home in the evenings due to low security down by the river. We also pair this system with 4 LED lights that come with cables and switches for the home and an optional 32-inch TV as an add-on. And we pair that TV with a USB drive that has 150 episodes of locally produced farmer training content. And we also have a few drip irrigation add-ons that you can add to the system as well. So like I said, this is double price of Climate Smart Direct, so it's around $1,000. And we finance this system for up to 30 months, to again, increase the accessibility. Next slide, please. Cool, so when the systems are out in the field, we do have an IoT dashboard that we developed on Microsoft Azure. This can give us insights from the field in terms of how the systems are being used, some insights into the lithium-ion battery and the state of health of the battery, how the systems are being sort of utilized throughout the day. So we have summary charts of input and output power to the systems, and then we're also able to see the number of liters pumped by aggregate systems in the field, where we can zoom in on a system-to-system basis, and then lastly, sort of on the pay-as-you-go and financing side, if a customer does stop paying, we try to work closely with them to better understand the reasons behind that before we go ahead and take any action. But we do have the ability to lock and unlock the power system to ensure that we're getting repaid in a timely manner for that system. Next slide, please. So when customers have our systems, they're able to increase their incomes by 5 to 10 times. This is a result of everything you see on the screen. So higher yields, like I said earlier, from 2 to 5 times, while also eliminating the risk of losing a harvest due to insufficient rain. The farmer is able to transition over from the low value crops like maize and potatoes to cash crops like kale, tomatoes, and spices. Time saving, they don't have to spend nearly as much time sort of manually fetching water. Livestock, when they have access to adequate water, sort of immediately increase their milk production, specifically with cows, from 1.5 to 2 times. The farmers are able to have more arable land sort of under irrigation when they have access to a pump, and then of course access to clean energy. So switching from kerosene for lighting, which has detrimental effects to respiratory health, and then as well having lighting at night to give children the ability to study. Next slide, please. So we're gonna skip the video for time's sake, but this is a customer testimonial from one of our customers, Monica Ritho, who's based in central Kenya in Laikipia County. So I think if you guys are able to watch this video after the presentation, I think it will give sort of a lot of context as to what the pump looks like when it's installed, or what the full Climate Smart battery system is like, and the impacts that it has for some of our customers. Next slide, please. So at a high level, scaling up access to irrigation has very far-reaching effects. It improves food security across the continent. It will help lift millions out of poverty with the adoption of solar water pumps and irrigation solutions. And it also fuels economic growth because agriculture employs more than half of the population in Africa, and it comprises 15% of the continent's GDP. Next slide. So lastly, in terms of the design challenge, just wanted to throw a couple of R&D challenges out there in terms of solar water pumps. I think these could be interesting to think about in the context of the challenges and the projects that you guys are thinking about. One is saline water. We do have an abundance of customers that have high salt content in their water, and that presents a challenge for irrigation because obviously salt water can cause plants to wilt, and it's generally not recommended to irrigate with salty water. So we do have challenges where customers pump into a tank. They need to let the salt sort of settle out of the water and then irrigate just using gravity from there. I think this would be an extreme challenge sort of to address. At the moment, there are sort of a number of companies implementing village level, reverse osmosis or desalination systems, but at a single farm level, I haven't really seen any really sort of impactful innovation to date. And the second is sedimentation. This one is a big issue that we know, sort of faces every provider of solar water pumps across sub-Saharan Africa. As you can see in the picture, this is kind of what a typical well looks like from one of our customers. It's dug by hand instead of using sort of a borehole drill due to the lower cost. And that also means that the edges of the well or the sides are not lined with any material. So over time, the sides of the well do tend to cave in or just drop sediment and dirt into the water. And of course, this can clog the pump and cause a number of issues. So we do have some protections that we've built into our product, but they're not perfect. So I think some innovation around making pumps more sort of resistant to sediment would be a really interesting sort of project to consider. Next slide, please. Cool, so that's it for today from me. Thank you guys so much for your time, and I'm happy to take, I guess, any questions.
Thank you very much, Max, for this great presentation. One question would be, what, in your opinion and experience, do you think will be the main challenges when it comes to develop a commercially viable solar water pump system?
Yes, so I think what's of utmost importance, I mean, obviously when you're designing a product, it's super important to ensure you're doing adequate testing in a lab and ensuring that the product is robust and that it functions properly, that it's not going to have electrical failures and things like that out in the field. But I think it's equally, if not more important, to ensure that your product is meeting the expectation of the customer and is apt for the market. I think it's easy to make assumptions based on sort of macro level data and reports that you might find, but there's nothing more valuable than either spending some time in the field and visiting the end customer as you're continuing to refine the product, and or just spending at least some time on the phone discussing with the customer around how to best integrate their needs into your product requirements.
Oh, thank you. And talking about designing, what do you see is the role that product design can play in increasing households' income?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of room for product design when it comes to productive use appliances. There's a lot of sort of generic AC appliances that are out on the market, but at the moment, I would say, due to sort of efficiency loss with inverters and just the high cost of installing a system that has AC, we still need to be looking at DC for solutions. And the DC appliance market is quite nascent. So I think, yeah, product design around DC appliances, there's a lot of room for innovation.
Thank you, Max. Let's move to the next presentation. Just give us a second to hi, Stewart. Can you?
Hey.
Yeah, we can hear you pretty well. Let me see if can you change the can you use your presentation, Stuart?
Yeah, that'll be great if possible. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You can see my screen okay now?
We see your desktop.
Yep.
Very nice picture, by the way.
My dream of where I could be instead of in cold, rural northern Slovakia at the moment.
Okay.
Here we go. I think there we go. Sorry, just a little mucking around here to
No problem.
get it set up.
We are used to the technicalities, difficulties.
Alrighty, I'll fire away.
Yeah, please go ahead. And if you want to switch on your camera also, I don't know the connectivity there, so it's up to you. Whatever is best for the flow.
I've got a face for radio, so let's just stick with the slides. So thanks a lot for the opportunity to talk a little bit about product design. I've been quite passionate about this for 20 years, since building microhydro mini grids in Nepal. We brought the first high power factor compact fluorescent lamps and white LEDs to that market 20 years ago. And that helped make dramatic changes in affordability for energy access. I then started a company called Barefoot Power in 2005, a couple of years before D-Light Design and Greenlight Planet, if people have heard of those. And that tried to formalize making solar LED lights to replace kerosene lamps. You can see an example of one of the products that we made there, which was a 1.5 watt solar desk lamp. I learned a lot more about lighting than I ever expected to as a civil engineer, which is my background and training. The movement of the head of the lamp was important, so that you could get all of the light going in the direction that was required. The size of the panel was important because it was the minimum amount of current that would activate the charging of a Nokia mobile phone. Anything less than 1.5 watts was too low current to be able to charge a phone. And everybody else had been charging a phone through the battery of the lantern. We did not. We connected the solar panel to the phone itself after studying the technical specification of the phone. And that made a cheaper product that could still charge a mobile phone, but not at night, only in the daytime. This product retailed for about $30. People were paying about $1 per week, and still are in many places, for kerosene lights. So it paid back in just 30 weeks, if not less. When you can get the payback of a product down to 6 months or less, you can sell it for cash. Once you have a payback period of more than a year, then you often need financing, and things get more difficult. So this cash sale business of 1, 2, and 4 lamp products at 1.5, 2.5, 5, and 10 watts, that ended up being quite a strong business, grew up to $5 million until impact investors took over, threw me out, and destroyed the company. It's trying to rebuild itself now with some African owners, which is great to see it come back to life. But that's another presentation about entrepreneurship. We'll stick to product design on this one. But this obeyed the Paul Pollack design rules. Make something simple enough that can pay for itself multiple times in 1 year of ownership, and be able to do it at large scale. I went to China, spent 4 years there when I really only wanted to spend 4 months there. And it was hard work to get a good quality product, which later became the basis of lighting global technical specifications. For some reason, this won't move to the next slide. That's interesting. Oh, here we go. It's woken up. Right. Okay, we're on board now. In more recent years, from 2011-12 onwards, I made Village Infrastructure Angels to look at energy lending of products versus a cash sale model, and started to demonstrate that solar could now do more productive uses of power than just lighting and phone charging. The solar water pumps that you've seen earlier is a great example of how solar can be used even without a battery for direct daytime use of power. And we continue to advocate that cheaper solar power in the daytime is more possible to use than more expensive evening electricity that's got to go through a battery. So we actually design our systems with an absolute minimum of battery and a maximum amount of solar power in the daytime that can be used cheaply, which is a very different design to your typical solar home system. We've moved into agro-processing mills with our partner Project Support Services and donor support such as USAID Powering Agriculture plus others, and more recently into solar cooking, which is a very exciting new area. A key design aspect here is the pot is insulated, so you lose as little possible of the heat once you've made it. Here's some examples of manual agro-processing tasks that have been taken over by the solar mills that we've designed. It often takes an hour to process 1 or 2 kilograms of these crops by hand. It only takes 1 minute to do it with a mill. The cost of doing that is only about 5 cents per kilogram to use the mill, but people can earn maybe 50 cents to $1 per hour from using this time in other productive ways. So there's a 10 to 20 times return, similar to the water pump of 10 times more income compared to the cost of the solar water pump. These are the 10x multiples that impact entrepreneurs are interested in and social enterprise designers interested in, rather than 10x returns for investors per se. So we really want people to be able to make more money from using the products, far more money than it costs to use them. If you focus only on customer expenditure, like televisions, well, you're not generating more income. You're just looking at them as a consumer. We want to see them as a prosumer, where they're producing as well as consuming. This is a full range of solar mills that we help develop with Project Support Services, PNG. Over 8 different mills were made: solar rice hullers, polishers, cassava graders, coconut graders, corn shellers, flour grinders, meat grinders, oil expellers, and others. This is the largest range of solar mills in the world, runs off 24 volt DC, between 150 and 1,000 watts per mill. That's a lot less than the smallest diesel mill, which is 2 to 10 kilowatts, generally speaking. So these are smaller, slower mills, better suited for smaller villages in deeply remote area. We're decentralizing milling with the idea of 1 mill per village in the future, if possible. With Energy Saving Trust, we're also working on a solar-powered washing machine. It's actually surprising how little power you need to do washing if you don't heat the water. And it's actually quite unbelievable to me that this hasn't been done yet, because there's no reason that it shouldn't have hit the market in the last 5 or 10 years. There's 1 or 2 Chinese companies that have seen that possibility and are making a product, but there's probably quite a bit of strengthening of the product required until it's ready for the rural situation. Water supply is obviously key. This is where solar water pumps also plays a role. And when solar water pumps aren't being used after irrigation and growing during the harvest period, that's a great time for solar mills. So 1 solar panel could run a water pump, a mill, and a washing machine all in 1 area, increasing the utilization of the energy from that panel. Our basic theory of change is that we help cut costs with the solar home lighting systems for lights. We save time using mills and other equipment, and increase income by adding value to crops and being able to use that time to make things like coconut oil, mat weavings, cutting bamboo, forest products, adding value to the rice as mentioned, and things like that. And basically, if you only focus on cost savings, you may not have a very good business model. But if you can add at least as much income being earned on top of those cost savings, you've got much more chance of a sustainable business. We also look at non-cash payments. So if people were processing crops by hand, they weren't paying any money. If we take money out of their pocket, we're making them poorer, not richer. So one idea was to convert the time savings into a product that then we could take as payment and sell. So far, we've done physical products, but you could look at time products, education benefits, impact products through results-based financing, and even digital products, looking at music and videos. So there's possibilities to get very creative in the financial model. Some of the impacts we've had, for example, from some of these products, people were taking large bags to mills that were up to 20 kilometres away, paying as much for transport as the milling. With a local solar mill, they process smaller bags more often, once a week instead of once a month. But they save up to 45 minutes a day and hundreds of hours per year. Compared to the cost of $1 or $2 a month to pay for this kind of service, they can earn maybe $10 or $20 a month. So again, the 10x return we're looking for. And there's some value adding going on there as well that can add 10 or 20% to the basic value of the crop they're processing. Mills, whether they're solar or diesel or on the grid, often accept 10% of the crop as payment. So it's not like we invented non-cash payments, it's been around for centuries. And we also found that a centrifugal rice huller is 30% more efficient than rubber roller. So we're always looking at ways to make things more efficient and more cost effective. So that's a very quick flyover of many, many different products. One of the key learnings I'd suggest for designers is to always be looking at how can you drive the cost down through things like what do we sometimes take as a luxury. For example, a mini grid in a way is a luxury because you've got poles and wires bringing electricity to the house. Whereas you could just have a solar home system and when it's a rainy day, just walk it in to a central recharging point. To have the luxury of poles and wires that bring electricity to your house costs a lot of money. Same with that LED desk lamp at the start. The luxury was to charge a mobile phone from the lantern battery. We took that luxury away so that you could only charge the phone in the daytime, but it brought down the cost of the product 30 or 40%. And frankly, people didn't care too much that they couldn't charge their phone at night. So keep an eye out at all times for the ways you can reduce costs by stripping out some of the so-called luxuries of performance to make something that perhaps wouldn't be acceptable in a Western market, but can be acceptable in these markets. So I'll wrap it up there.
Thank you, Stewart. Thank you very much. There are a couple of questions. There is one question for Max, and I would like to take the opportunity to ask this question to Max because I know he has to leave before the Q&A. So if you don't mind, Max, there is a question from Brenda. She's asking, could the connections made overcome the sedimentation issue?
Sorry, could the connections?
She's asking whether the connections made can overcome the sedimentation issue.
Sedimentation.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not getting the question. Sedimentation in what?
Brenda, if you can clarify a little bit. The question was about the water pumps. Yeah, about the sedimentation problems that may have in water pumps.
Okay. it's probably better answered by my solar pump expert rather than myself. Can I hand it over to the solar pump expert?
Yeah, I mean, if somebody else is happy to answer the question, otherwise we.
Yeah, you know, so I'm still here. I'm happy to answer the question, but I guess yeah, I need a bit more clarity as to I guess what it means in terms of connections.
Okay. I would like to ask Brenda to be a little bit more specific with your question, and then we will resume this question at the end in the Q&A section, if that's okay.
Okay.
It might be towards, you know, how do you stop sedimentation coming into the water pump to get it clogged up or things like that. You usually, you know, have a settling pond where the sediments fall to the bottom and you take the water from a bit higher up. At the other end of the pump in the tank, you do the same thing. So that the water will come into the tank, its sediments fall to the bottom, and you do not put your tap at the bottom of the tank. You raise it up a little bit so you can get the cleaner water. Adding on to that, you can put sand filters and various other filters to clean up the water even further before use for drinking, cooking, washing, and other purposes. Obviously, for irrigation, not as much of an issue. Hopefully that helps.
Thanks. Let's move to the next presentation, and then we'll resume the questions in the Q&A, if that's. You can go ahead, Julien.
Okay, hello everyone. Nice morning for the one who are still in the morning. So I'm Julien from Nadji.bi. We are an innovation company based in Senegal. So maybe you can move on with the slide, or yeah, okay, you can move on. So we are basically R&D and manufacturing company. We also have engineering facilities. So we are developing devices, lighting and productive appliance devices. And we are also offering engineering services, mainly for solar. We also we have a digital department because, as you know, as mentioned Max, digital noise is it's really, you cannot sell solar, I would say, without digital services. Either it's IoT or it's Pego or it's data mining, but no, digital is very important. It can also offer additional services to the user in terms of application for accounting and many other things. So we have this department developing digital application and services. And also with consulting for many stakeholders, like governments, NGOs, and many other entities. Yes, next. So yeah, we are based in Senegal. We have some subsidiaries next door in Gambia and in Guinea-Bissau. We have one representative office in Europe, and another one in Asia to partner with sometimes universities or some suppliers to help growing our company and our businesses. So next. Okay, our R&D center. Maybe just to let you know, we are developing most of our technology here in Senegal with many young talents coming from all over Africa. We do have people from Kenya, Tanzania, Nigeria, Cameroon, Benin, Senegal. We have the chance to our base in a city called Mbour in next to Dakar, where we have the AIMS, the African Institute of Mathematical Science, that attract a lot of very talented people. And we try to get benefit of it and to offer them first internship. And when they are very good, we offer them a job. So we are developing, as I mentioned, we are working on electronics. We are working on electromechanics. We are working on electrotechnics, and we are working on digital development. Next. So we are mainly partnering for R&D with universities or engineering school. We do have, sometimes we can attract funding together when applying to subsidies or grants. And sometimes, we just post intern those are partnerships. So, and we take advantage to develop technologies. It's always good to work with universities. Those students, they are very keen to understand how does it work, to imagine their future career, and to apply their ideas. And sometimes they need also to hear that their ideas, well, it have to stay an idea. But sometimes they have very, very good ideas, and so it's always good to be practical in a way. When you study theory, sometimes you need to go and to apply it. And thanks to our company like ours, we are really trying to build bridges, and we take advantage of it as a company for sure, because it's always good to have all this energy and ideas and talent to grow and to develop your business. Next. So as I said, we started actually with the lighting department in terms of device development. So we developed like torches, solar lamps, solar home system. We get the lightning global certification for this one. It's called ZEBU, 3 LEDs solar panel. We also developed solar streetlights and also connected solar streetlights. So those are mostly our lightning solution. Next. So and then, as mentioned, Stewart, as I say, a big hello from here. We developed productive appliance. We realized that, as Stewart said, consumer is okay, prosumer is better. So it's better to increase the revenue for the people. And if you want them to consume, they need to increase the revenue. So in a way, development is based on work. And to work better, to earn more money, as also Mark said, you need to increase your yields, you need to increase your revenue, and solar is one of the best ways when it's applied with some very good devices to increase revenue and to develop rural economy. So that's where we put our effort a few years ago, 5 years ago. We starting working on milling machine. And we also went on for cold, like milk tank, feeders, and cold rooms. And then we also developed a hybrid system that could work on off-grid or on suburban areas where they don't have like a regular utility service from the grid. So when they have loss of power, they could use also solar to keep working and to keep having stable revenue. So, and one of our first customer was the government for the offices, tax offices in the countryside. It was very funny. So next. So this is our best seller for the lightning service. So you see, the brand here is our utility company, the national company for utility service, electricity. So we are very proud of that. And of course, we also, I just wanted to mention our business model. We are B2B2C, so business to business to customer company. So we don't sell directly. We are really focused on R&D and manufacturing. So our customer, they are either government institution, or 80% of our customer are financial institution like microfinance or banks, and they are the one bringing the distributors to us. So mainly they bring us their biggest customer, like businessmen, group of women, cooperative, and we support them to do the distribution, to do the marketing, and so on and so forth. Meanwhile, we developed a training facility and a training center with the African Development Bank to train local technical people, so that are the service provider on the field. So this business model is very interesting because it includes every stakeholder here, from the production, from the actually product design to the after-sale service. And we are very, very proud of having developed this ecosystem, and that enable most value to stay in the country. And we believe it's part of the development as well. So next. Okay, certification, we can move next. So I already mentioned. I watched the time. So project development, yeah, no, one of the market is a commercial and industrial PV market. So it's also somewhere we are positioning ourselves. So you can move on. Next. Okay, digital. As I mentioned, mobile money, mobile banking, financial services are related to the off-grid devices. Mostly they are sell credit with loans on installments. So you need this technology to recover money or to see if the people are paying or not. E-businesses, because most of the time when you go with productive use and appliances, you need to have some business function like accounting, sales, yeah, CRM, customer relationship management, all those kind of very small and useful software that can now be developed and put directly to the mobile phone. Also, e-training, it's always good to have a support with the mobile phone as well, or even for the technical people. When they lack of information or they forget something, they can always go and check for a tutorial. So this is very important. IoT now is the key. So IoT enable us to improve our devices and to know where there may be they do not perform as expected. So we have data and we can always increase and try to understand the environment, all the different aspects that were not maybe properly planned when you do product design. So, but when your products are on the field, you collect data, you collect behaviors, and then you can understand how to improve it step by step. Next. So consulting and training, as I said, training is very, very important. I mean, we lack of high skill technician here. Technology are spreading all over the place. Kenya or East Africa is one of the biggest and fastest market for that. And always the main barrier is the service. Sometimes a very small problem could be fixed very quickly if you have a right technician next door. But if you don't, it could be a big issue. So we believe that we need to train as much as possible people so they can fix the problem directly on the field, and it's also cost less money to have this kind of networks of skilled professional with whom you can work instead of having your own people or your own team traveling thousands of kilometers to fix small problems, or having these networks. So this is what we are starting to do now, and it's something that will increase in the next future. Next. So solution we developed, I will not stay long on that because Max mentioned already a lot. We are working also, yes, solar water first. So solar water pump, we developed a lot. IoT, we are mainly serving, well, power speaking, it's bigger than the one Max are serving in Eastern Africa. We are working with half a kilowatt, several kilowatt water pumps. No, it's here in Senegal. gardening is a very big business, and people are doing a lot of money with that, so they need larger systems. So next. Solar cell milling machine. So, and platform, those are platform we develop, and we get the support for E4A, with E4A for this project. As I mentioned, we developed this milling machine already, and now we are adding this digital system and more IoT to improve the business model and to improve the profitability of the system. So again, here we need the level of need in the village is pretty high. So we need relatively strong and machine using like 3, 4, 5 kilowatts of PV module with a very big product output. So, but then it's a big business as well. It's a big business for the banks, so they need to understand the profitability, the bankability of it. So through the development of digital solution, we are able to better understand the way it's work and the way it could be even more profitable for the end users, for the managers of the people working for this platform, and mostly for the banks, because once you convince the banks that the solution is profitable and that the end user can reimburse the loan, then the game is can start, you know, and this is where we are focusing mostly, convince the bank and institutional finance institution that they can finance off-grid and that it's good for them and it's good for everyone. So,
Julien, I'm going to ask you to wrap up because I'm conscious about the time and we have some questions. You can finish, but yeah, you can just wrap up your presentation briefly.
Yeah, the last slide was about product design, and just for you, our attendees, to remind them the most important part of it. Idea is good, but before doing a product design and prototyping, market analysis, market prospecting, as mentioned Max, is very, very important. So don't start doing a device without knowing where is the money for your design. So this is the first question. We always ask ourselves, where is the money? If there is no money, if the amount of money is not enough, don't start, you know, do something else, because there is no market. So sometimes market can be present in the future. You can create a market, but mostly there should be something telling you that, you know, there is something to do, and these have to be data, accurate data. So it's very important before doing a prototype on anything to make sure that there is a market, of that there will be a market. Okay. I'm fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Julien. There are a couple of questions on the chat, and we don't have much time, but if you have any questions, please put them in the chat so Julien and Stewart will be able to reply in the next 5 minutes. So there are a couple of questions. There is one about the water pumps and the capacity. The question is, do water pumps have a limited farm size to which they can supply water?
Basically, there is, you know, with solar, there is no limit, meaning you can supply energy to any device, even the biggest one. The only issue is the number of PV modules you will have to connect to it. Of course, without battery, it will only work during the day. And at the end of the day, the cost of it. But here we supply a very big water turbine for rice production in the north of Senegal, which are around 50 kilowatt power, and we supply it with solar. So meaning, you know, it's just a matter of financial plan. Is it profitable or not to use solar? And no, every devices could be, yeah, you can use solar for everything, basically. Yeah.
Thank you. Damien is also asking whether the PSS have distribution channels in East Africa. For the photovoltaic systems, I guess he means.
Maybe PSS is Stewart, eh?
Sorry, I was on mute there. For PSS,
Yes.
sorry. Do you mind to just repeat the question?
Question is about the PSS, whether they have distribution channels in East Africa.
To a small degree, but not a lot. They've mostly sold over 600 solar mills to Asia Pacific, half of them to Papua New Guinea, about 30% to Vanuatu, 20% to Indonesia, a little bit to Honduras. Between their efforts and ours, a small number of mills have gone out to various countries in Africa. But to be honest, solar milling, as Nadji, I think, will agree, is in its very, very early stages in Africa and even globally, really. There is a very large project of larger 10 kilowatt solar mills in Zambia, 2,000 of them by the Chinese. That's a huge $200 million project that's rolled out in the last few years. But we've had nowhere near that kind of funding support from non-Chinese Western or Africa Development Bank investors or donors. Yeah, basically, there's quite a lot of opportunity there to reach out to PSS. I can help anybody who wants to bring more of these solar mills to market. They're all plug and play, 24 volt DC. You can also get single phase AC if you want to put it on a mini grid. And as shown, 8 or 10 different crops and processes have been covered. So more than happy to facilitate that if that helps.
Thank you for your answer. And I'm conscious about the time, so I'm going to ask both of you, Julien and Stewart, to give us the final thoughts. Any final comments for the participants today, and especially the participants of the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge this year?
Yeah, I'll start off. I didn't put my email there, but it's stewart@villageinfrastructure.org, or just pop an email to the website. I'm happy to help anybody who has questions about design. I've been working in this area for 20 years. And I really encourage you to do these sorts of efforts and come up with design, both of hardware and software. There's as much need for software design in the pay-as-you-go IoT space as there is in the hardware itself, which is a really cross-cutting issue across all productive uses to get that data flowing back from remote areas. And there's not a lot of good solutions there, particularly for DC appliances. But yeah, there's a lot of room to work on this, but it does take a lot of time and money. Do not underestimate how long it takes from the time I start on a technology idea to when I see it really taking off with commercial potential is 10 years. It's very difficult to keep your business surviving for an entire decade until the money starts to flow. So don't underestimate how deep and difficult it is to bring a product to market. It can be very painful.
I would say that about techniques and product design, it's all about passion. So if you have the passion, just keep it. And we always say here that don't be afraid. Open the box. technology is all about, techniques that everyone can master if he has enough passion. So there is a start for everything. But once you open the box and you start to understand something, and step by step, you increase your knowledge and your experience and your failure, of course, and success, sky is the limit. Open the box, sky is the limit. Keep the passion, and at the end of the day, you'll make impacts. If it's not for the world, it could be for your country, could be for your family, but keep the passion and don't underestimate yourself. Everything is possible if you have the passion, the time, and the dedication for what you are planning to do.
Thank you very much for those motivational words and for your presentations today. We are at the end of the webinar, and we value all your feedback, and we are keen to hear from all the attendees your opinion and assessment of this webinar. So as soon as the webinar is finished, you will have a pop-up window with a short survey for you to respond to help us improve. At this point, I just want to remind you that a recording of this webinar will be available on the Efficiency for Access Design Challenge website in case you want to revisit some of the examples and interesting information you've listened here today. And with this, we conclude the Technologies Webinar Week. I hope you all have enjoyed and learned from the extensive panel of speakers who have been sharing their knowledge and trying to inspire you and bringing this fascinating sector a little bit closer to you all. In the name of the Efficiency for Access team, I want to thank you all for participating in this series of webinars. Thank you very much.